So
Yeah.
welcome back to the poddy. On this podcast, we're interviewing someone who made themselves something in football. I wanted to get a lot of ex players and current players from Gospel Oak who grew up here, um, and interview them and ask about their experience playing football in the area, uh, to what level they played at, their experiences, and all the stories that come with it. And one of the first people that came to mind when I wanted to carry this out with people who have made themselves something in football was Marius, my neighbour, Marius Guy,
Yeah.
and and I've known Marius pretty much my whole life. And we would always exchange stories on the street and about how each other's doing. More so Marius because I was about 12.
Yeah, I remember I used to watch you just kick the ball in the street, and I'll tell you, and your dad, your mum was shouting, Jack! Jack, there's a car! Yeah, so I remember all those days, and then I'm just there holding my big football bag going training.
Yeah, so Marius made it to a good level of football, and he comes from the area, like many other footballers who have made it in the game in Gospel Oak and Camden, and Marius is the first guest, and hopefully we'll get more after this, and I think it's important to highlight people who've made it from the area, and through that, if people can see this and think to themselves, oh, actually, look at all these people coming from Camden, Gospel Oak, Queen's Crescent, Mornington Crescent, Kentish Town, you name it. Um, and they look at this and maybe they think, oh, actually, look at all these people who have come from this area and actually made something of themselves. So I think it's important to talk to people from the area and share and for them to share their experiences and talk about how they found life in the world of football. So I got Marius here, and we're just going to talk through like his experience with football, his career, the levels he reached, the pros, the cons of a football career, um, and just get into it. I know, like your brothers are very good footballers as well, from the stories you've told me as well, and
Yeah.
to say the
It's
least.
always it's been a tussle at home. Who's the best player? And
You're
it's
like
always,
Willock.
you know,
You're like
do you know
Joe
what? It's
Willock, Chris Willock, and Matty Willock from South.
Nah, do you know what? It's always been a case of like we never really dispute who's better, but we always give each other a little challenge here and there. We'll do a kick up challenge, or we'll do keepy uppings. The person who drops it, clearly you're the one that isn't good enough. So there was no room for dropping the ball.
Yeah, otherwise you get slated. Your family of Ivorian background as well, aren't they?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
So we've got an Ivorian background, and
yeah,
a lot of my brothers are mainly all raised out in France. So me and my youngest brother, we came over to England at a very young age. So
yeah,
we're an African descent, and we respect our culture very much. But also, I'd probably consider myself as English first
yeah, yeah.
before
No,
I.
100%. I was just thinking though, like Ivorian background, like it's fair to say, you've had a very as a country, the Ivory Coast have had a pretty good background of creating
Yeah,
decent footballers,
very
just to say the
successful.
least.
Yeah, do you know what? There's a handful of players, and some of them I've been very fortunate enough to come across some of them, and like
Yeah,
speaking to a few of them, and you know what? It's only of late that we've been highlighted as players, I'd say as Ivorian players, but the country itself, I feel, has always had the potential to win the African nations for years now. It's
yeah.
just we've just found that we've not found that unit just yet to do well in the World Cup. That's what
Yeah,
I'd
I
say.
find it weird how Ivory Coast haven't kind of like I wouldn't like when Ghana went all that way in 2010. Like in my head growing up as well, I always thought if there's an African country who's going to win it, for me it was always Ivory Coast. A million.
You know what?
You just need
An
to.
African country is coming. Definitely soon,
Yeah,
soon, very soon. Nigeria have got a
I'll
very
probably
young
upset.
squad doing well at the moment, so
Yeah, I'll probably
definitely.
upset a lot of Ghanaians now.
Listen, my Ghanaian friends will understand it happens. It's not the first time because we've seen it happen to Cameroon. So
Yeah.
you know, one country will get lucky.
Yeah,
one of us will get lucky.
yeah, I hope so. Genuinely, I mean, Ivory Coast. I wouldn't say it's a squad it once was, but with what Ivory Coast have produced in the past, you like who. So you said you consider yourself English, obviously, over
Yeah.
Ivory Coast. But is there if Ivory Coast were to play England, who would you support?
Oh no, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm supporting the Ivory Coast. Without a shadow of a doubt. I'm sorry, I'll be in my full orange kit. I tell you that.
Green socks.
Yeah. Even when they play France, I still support the Ivory Coast. But then if France are playing England, I'll support France. You know, it's, you know.
It's funny because obviously we've known each other for so long. You know that my family's background's Irish, so
There you
when
go.
you can just like the Ivory Coast kit is like Ireland's away kit, and
Yeah.
the Ireland home kit's like the Ivory Coast away kit as well.
You don't know how many times people have growing up, people have mistaken the flag. Like, oh, it's from Ivory Coast. Is that an Irish flag? You're like,
Yeah.
no, it's not an Irish flag. Yeah,
Anyway,
I heard you're pretty good at flags as well. I might have to give you a challenge one
yeah,
of these days.
yeah. No, I was trying. We once we didn't put it up, but we recorded a podcast, and I was in my room, and I have like an Irish tricolour flag, and because it was on the camera, it flipped round, so it looked like I was like an Ivory Coast nationalist.
You're always welcome, Jack, in the
Yeah,
Ivory
all right.
Coast.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I was just going to go straight into it. Obviously, this is on the Gospel Oak Football Podcast channel, and the Gospel Oak Football Club channel. Sorry, the Gospel Oak Podcast. This is, and the first thing I just wanted to ask you was, what's the first thing that comes to your head when you think of Gospel Oak?
So when you think Gospel Oak, you know, I moved in Gospel Oak back in early, 2000, in the year 2000.
Same as
So
me
for
then.
me, Gospel Oak, yeah, so Gospel Oak was that it's where I kind of grew up and I kind of traveled. I'll say early teenage. Yeah, I was about 13, 14 about that stage. So for me, Gospel Oak is Hampstead Heath. It's all the local schools and it's the community. It's a nice area. It's a very lovely area. You're in between Hampstead Heath and you're in between Camden Town. So you've got the best of both worlds, whether you want a nice peaceful walk on the Heath or the loud parade in Camden. Yeah, so, yeah, it's a lovely place to live. And
You go from one extreme to the other.
That's right. Yeah, so Gospel Lake. I mean, it's a community. That's what I call Gospel Lake for me. And I've actually currently got a flat which is away from Gospel Lake now, but I do come back because I miss the community feel of Gospel Lake.
Yeah, that's nice to hear, man. Well, that's the whole idea behind the football club, because there's such a strong community spirit in the area, and it hasn't really got anything to symbolise it the same way like Kentish Town and Camden Town does. It's a smaller area, but it's got just a stronger, if not stronger, sense of community than anywhere else, in my opinion. It's got its own vibe. So I just wanted to ask as well. So you moved here when you were about 13, 14. You said early teens. So when did you start playing football?
I started playing football about the age of 5 years old. I got my first football. I think it was probably a birthday present. And then since then, I think any celebration I've ever had or a Christmas present, I've only ever received a football. not even the football boot, not even the football kit, just a ball. And so for me, it was like whether I had shoes or didn't have shoes, I just played football. So I played football bare feet, I played football with my slippers. So for me, I started at the age of 5, and ever since then, I've always played football. I couldn't imagine any other day when I didn't play football.
So you fell in love with it straight away then?
Yeah, straight away. You know, there weren't any specific player out then that kind of stood out for me. Back then, it was more I had a football. I just had a football, and I could just do things with it, and I could just run and play with it. Yeah, that's what it was for me.
Fair enough. I was just going to expand on that. So when you started playing football, did you join the club straight away, or was it when you were older, play at school?
it's as I got older, I started thinking, oh, maybe because I played, I've got brothers. My oldest brother played football. Went abroad and played football. So for me, it was more always I always played by myself, and I played with my brother. All played with my brothers. So playing in a team wasn't a thing because I had a team at home in a sense.
Yeah.
I've got three brothers, so that's a lot of.
You're out doing the Willocks, as I say.
Yeah. So then for me, it was more or less okay. That point to join a team came when I'd realised my brother had gone away to play football. So for me, it was like, okay, my brother can go away and play football. Well, I'm sure I can do it too. So I just didn't really join a team until I was probably about, I'll say, 8 or 12, and I started playing playing locally, playing in France and playing in England. So then I started joining small little teams here and there. But I did enjoy playing with my mates in the estate.
Oh,
that was the thing for me, like just playing in the estates with mates.
was that in France or?
Yeah, and that was in France as well as in England as well, because I just moved from Kentish Town, so I was in
Okay.
Peckwater. So if
You're
you
in
know
Peckwater. Oh,
if you know anyone in Peckwater, mention my name, they'll know me. I played all night and every day in that little football pitch in the middle of the flats.
Oh, fair enough. So I know you're a massive Marseille fan. So was it in the south of France you lived before you moved to England?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marseille, yeah. So for me, it was always the attraction to Marseille and how Marseille were back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
It is the only club in France that won the Champions League. So for me, it was a big draw, and the white and blue kit was attractive.
Yeah. It's a bit weird because isn't it in the south of France, rugby's bigger?
In France as a whole, rugby's the number one.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I thought in the north that they were a bit more footy.
It is. Yeah, it's rugby's the number one sport, I'd say. But football. Everyone in France. If you mention a club, you mention Marseille. Everyone loves you.
Yeah.
No one talks about the other club. I'm not even going to mention their name.
Fair. So you started playing locally then. When would you say that you got your first big break in football, like academy football for a big club, you could say? And when I say big club, it can mean any sort of standard.
Okay, so for me, I didn't I don't know about how it is for you with school. But school, we used to have district league back in the days in the borough.
I played that as well.
I trialled at district, and surprisingly, I didn't get in the district team. And I thought, whoa, I'm better than these guys.
Yeah.
And school team, I was in my school team. I did well amongst my schoolmates, and I always thought, I was better than most of them.
Is that Burley you went to, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went to Burley. I just thought, well, I didn't get into the team. As you can see, Jack, I was about 5 foot back then. So I wasn't the biggest, I weren't going to ever be 6 foot. And
was that Camden district?
It was Camden district.
Or Camden Islington, because when you go into year 7, it's Camden Islington.
I think it's probably Camden Islington district.
Yeah.
But after that, back in the school, year 10, year 11, I was fortunate enough, I was scouted at Market Road, and I went for a trial at Fulham.
Okay.
I'd say is my first academy. I mean, first taste of actually training fully and properly against other academy boys, and competing against my brothers is nothing like competing against other academy boys. He's probably been in an academy level since the age of 5 and 6. So for me, it was like, well, I'm at 12, 13, and I'm trialing against these other guys who've been doing it for years. So for me, I just played street football.
Yeah.
Slightly different from playing a tactical game. So for the first academy I joined, and I was there about 2 years, and it taught me a lot. I had ups and downs there because you come from playing, with your mates to playing with, guys who've been at academy level was slightly different.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say I have a theory about that. So, obviously. So you're when you moved to England, you're always in the area, Camden. So you're in Peckwater, Kentish Town. So you're in and around the area of Gospel Oak, Kentish Town, and places like that. So you mentioned before that in Peckwater they have a pitch, and for me around Gospel as well, like there's so many cages to play football in, especially around here. It's not to say other areas in London don't, It's just I feel like if you're gonna sign the rent to live in a house, or if you're gonna move here, I feel like you've got to sign a contract to say if you're a young boy, you have to play cage football. so so for me, like growing up here, and in and around the area, especially around Gospel, since 2000, like you were always playing cage football around here. So it doesn't shock me that you were playing street football at Fulham, because I feel like I think it's a reason why so many players come out of Camden, because street football's such a big thing around here.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a big thing. I could tell you, I've probably played in so many cages in the whole of Camden Borough. I couldn't even name them all, but if you showed me a picture, I could tell you I've played there. I've played That's how much cage football I've played. But then, once you join an academy, you get taught the technicalities in the sense you play more as a team. You focus more on the formations, the technicals, rather than actually just going out and just trying to do about 10 different players in one go, which is what you do in cage football.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. So you're at Fulham. What happened after that?
After that, I was told I see I was never going to grow, and I just knew my size was a big deal. Was always going to be a major factor, and it didn't just happen to me. It happened to several of my good mates. Some of them were turned down by Chelsea purely because of size. I trialled at several other youth academies as well, and it's turned down purely. I will be honest with you, it's purely because of size. It wasn't because of technical ability.
Yeah.
And there's times when I think back and I think, had I been in France, I would have definitely been a completely different player. Had I been in Spain, I would have completely been a different player too. But you know what? I'm sorry to say this, but in my generation, if you weren't going to be 6 foot tall, you weren't going to get into left side 11.
Really? It's
really
interesting, because nowadays
it's challenging. Yeah, nowadays things are changing.
Yeah. So if you'd gotten, it's a shame. It's a shame it's happened, because you see, the Sessegnon of Fulham comes to mind. He's not the tallest, but he's gone on to do amazing things and joined Tottenham. So after Fulham, where did so you went on trial at many other academies, and then
so I went on a few academy trials, and I found myself playing a few semi-pro teams, and going down to Leatherhead, going to Chipstead. So this is where Gospel was very useful. I could just hop on the overground and get. So this is when I used to see you on the road, and I'd be carrying my football bags. And I used to make journeys to Basingstoke, go to Clapham Junction, and head right out with my football bag. I'd be coming home at 10, 11 p.m. after a late night session, midweek game, on a Tuesday night, and just coming back. And it's it made me tough. It made me resilient in the sense of knowing what I wanted. I wanted to play football. So for me, it was that the journeys were painful, but I knew what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I had a goal in mind. And then from then onwards, I had a few ups and downs emotionally, in a sense, trying to put myself together and ask myself a question. Do I really want this? How much training am I willing to sacrifice in order to get where I want to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you played to a semi-pro level for many years then.
And I was very fortunate enough. I got in contact with a few old mates and an old trainer who trained me up and got my fitness levels back up again. Because at that age, between the age of 16 and 18, I went through a bad stage of hamstrings, and this was this was just my body developing and understanding that I was getting bigger and getting stronger. So hamstring was a major factor, and not having the proper training and trying to train myself to death, really just trying to make it. So I was actually overworking myself and actually not training smart. But once I got a proper trainer and got him working me out regularly, he made a few phone calls, and I was fortunate enough to have got a trial at the States.
So I remember this now. It was in Washington, wasn't it?
I went to DC United.
Yeah.
Where Rooney
Some say Rooney went there because of you.
I made the move before Rooney.
So you go to DC United. What was that? What was that like? The experience of soccer?
That was tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be honest with this. It was tough because I was not only was I not in a house, I was based in a hotel for a little while.
Oh, sorry.
So I didn't have a home. I was kind of in a hotel, in and out. weren't really doing any washing because everything was getting cleaned for me.
Yeah.
Training was tough because I'd get there and I'm by myself getting attacked training sessions. But it was a different experience because out there you're playing soccer, you're not playing football. So everything felt a bit structured and a bit rigid, whereas sometimes you want that freedom to express yourself, and
Yeah.
it was just a different approach to football, which for me it didn't really work, and I did miss home. I missed
Okay.
England a lot. So I
What
did
year
come
was
back.
that then?
That was 2010.
Okay, so 10 years
Yeah,
ago now.
10
So
years ago. Yeah.
did you end up making an appearance in the MLS or?
Not making an appearance, but I had a few friendly games where we travelled a
Okay.
bit and got a few little games
Okay.
out the MLS. But it was a good experience, I'd say. But it's one which I look back and I think, could I have done better and could I have persisted and stayed? Yes, definitely. I could have done better, my character wise.
Okay. But it's still a
Yeah.
massive accomplishment to
Yeah.
go, and considering how like physical American sports are in general, to go from not being physical enough to play for Fulham and then play semi-pro football and then DC United want you. That's a pretty sick comeback to be able to do that. And as I say, like people listen to this right now, they're gonna think, oh crap. I know a few boys from around Gospel and Camden in general who have played to academy level and haven't had the motivation to bounce back. And for them to hear that is actually really, really good, because there's always a chance if you keep working. There's always a chance, and to be able to say you joined an MLS club after playing
100%.
after playing street football and Gospel and Camden is an amazing achievement in itself.
100%. Yeah.
But as I say, it just proves my theory again. Like the whole reason I started this team, just like people from this area have made a success about themselves. I don't know if it's the gritty nature, I don't know if it's quality of football around here, but you're an example of that. So it's great.
Thank you.
It's great to see that like you actually made the transition to go to the MLS, and obviously it was mentally tough. So
Yeah.
that, that's a side to it as well. So after DC United, what happened then?
Yeah, so oh god, I'm a journeyman. I'd call myself somebody. So I came back to England, had a year out where I had to kind of process things, where whether I wanted to carry on. 2010, I was probably in my 20s at that point. I had to make decisions where, do I carry on or do I try and get back into studying? And I did get back into my studying and focus on my studies for a bit. Then an opportunity came up again. Like I said, I'm a
Keep
person of
working.
like, yeah, one thing I never did, I never stopped training. I continued training throughout. At that stage, I actually adopted a bit of athletics, and I'm very passionate about athletics. Keep myself fit. So I took on a bit of athletics just to keep myself fit and just keep up things like speed, which is essential. And an opportunity came up, and I'm going to make a quick shout out. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. It's called Pickup Academy. A good mate of mine, George runs it at the moment. He's got a huge, very talented young players. If anyone from North is really interested, they're based in South. It's not that bad of a journey because I used to make a journey to South London all the time. Get yourself with them or get in contact. But Pickup Academy, before they started up, I was probably one of their few trial players. First couple. I was probably one of the oldest amongst the kids that they brought along. I call them kids because some of them were teenagers, like 18, 19. So for me, I was in my mid-20s. I was thinking, okay, it's an opportunity. Could this be the last one? And we were taken off to Spain for a bit. So we had a few training sessions in England, and he just said, look, there's an opportunity out in Spain. You guys want to go? It's really your choice. I'll talk to the coaches in this, and they'll give you guys a trial and have a look at you guys. And you know what I did next, Jack?
Yeah,
I packed my bags and left.
Yeah, it begins with G. I do know.
Yeah, once again, I picked up my bags and I ended up going to Gibraltar for a bit.
Yeah. And you were playing professional football out there.
Yeah, so Gibraltar, funny enough, is a professional league. So signed a professional contract, as you say, and Yeah, I played football out in Gibraltar, and out there, there's opportunity to actually play in eventually in a Europa Cup game,
Yeah, yeah.
or play an equivalent to an FA Cup game. Yeah, so you are up there in like professional football. Could you say the standard was professional? I'd probably say our basic standards around National League, so it was pretty tense, and the
Okay.
weather alone didn't help.
The heat.
The weather was tough. It was really hot. So
Yeah.
that's something you have to adapt to as well. But it was a very interesting chapter of my career, which I still look back on and I say, it was a good choice I made.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it sounds like that's the time where you enjoy football the most.
And
Um.
I did enjoy it, but then I also did miss some. There wasn't the fun and freedom of what I had as a kid.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
it was work, to be honest. It just became work at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
See. Yeah. I mean. I'm still 22. I never made it to the level you did, but I can definitely relate. I was training with the Reading Development Squad when I was 16. I was training 2 times a week, and for some reason the facility was in Potter's Bar, and I was training with the elite squad. And yeah, I always say like it's not it wasn't even it was just below academy level. It wasn't to the same level as many other better footballers than me, but even then the intensity of the training, I was training with like category 1 coaches, and I don't I think if I was good enough, I don't think it would have been cut out for me, because I began to really like dislike football. Um,
Yeah.
when because I was training twice a week for my local club, trained twice a week with the Reading Development Squad, and then school as well. So
A
yeah,
lot of football.
yeah, I was a lunatic, and I remember some nights I'd just come back and pass out, and it definitely did start to feel like mundane and just like, oh, I've got to go again kind
You're
of
a
thing.
bit static and robotic. But do you know what? This is one thing I've played with, Jack, I tell you, I've played with, I'm sure you've probably got a question of who's the best player. I've played with some very great football players. I
Yeah,
mean, very talented guys. The difference is, and people ask me, why am I not as passionate about it anymore? It's because I know how demanding it is physically. Not everyone
mm,
can make it because not only is it demanding physically, it's demanding mentally. And
yeah,
there were friends of mine who I could tell you now, I mean, excellent football players. But if I said, could they cope with the physical aspects of it, training every day and the physical
mm,
demands of it? No, that's why they
yeah,
probably didn't make it. Could you
yeah,
deal with the mental ups and downs? No,
yeah,
because not everyone can.
yeah, yeah,
It's not like they weren't talent. It's not they didn't want to. It's just there are aspects of it which sometimes some people just think, no, this wasn't
oh,
for me.
yeah, definitely. Like I even remember. So you said you didn't get into the district side. I played for a whole year for Camden in year 6, and then in year 7 I joined Camden Islington. I had a great trial, and then I had a mayor in the team in year
Yeah,
7. And I remember just coming out of some games just in tears, because I was like, fuck. That
yeah.
team actually ended up going on to win the London Cup, and I think I was the first player to get released. So,
Hey,
um,
Jack, no, you laugh, but do you know what? I know a lot of guys who played in the Camden District team and went to the London Cup and done really well. Do you want
yeah.
to know a lot of those same guys? I remember I bumped into them a couple of years and they said to me, "Mark, you still playing football?" I was like, "Yeah." They said, "Where are you playing?" I said, "I've gone off the state." They're like, "What?" So
Yeah,
it's those things where you don't necessarily have to be in a district team to
yeah,
do
yeah,
such well. So if there are guys who are listening, I'll tell them, look, you don't need to be in your district team. You don't
yeah,
need to be in a local camp. I remember I don't know if you heard of KTB back in the days.
yeah.
Kentish Town Boys. Yeah, I played in KTB. Yeah, I'm sorry. And that I remember I didn't get into the team because one of the lads was playing in my position and his dad
Yeah.
happened to have been a coach.
Oh
But
yeah, no, I've
so
seen
for me, it was like,
that.
that beat me up. But then at the same time, it didn't defeat me because I knew I was better than the
Yeah,
boy.
yeah, yeah.
So
No,
it's that mental
well,
state again.
well, it sounds like I mean, obviously you had the ability as well. Um, Probably more than I did. But at the same time, what I'm not taking into account is the mental aspect of it. Like you had the guts to go over to America. You had the guts to keep on playing, going to South London, like really pushing yourself. I remember coming out training just with the Red Development Squad. As I say, I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying I played to academy level or anything, but even then, that was a high level. Like, there was Brentford scouts there every week. Weirdly, at Reading train. So there were scouts every session, and it was really, really demanding. And I just remember coming out of it and thinking to myself, I like, I just mentally as well as physically exhausted, and I'm just like, fuck it. And it's cutthroat as well. It's really
It is.
cutthroat. I remember when they were picking at the trial for the elite squad, and I was the last one, and one coach hated me. Well, didn't hate me, but really didn't like me, and the other one did. And
Yeah.
and that just made me think, even at a lower standard like that, it's like opinions as well matter so much.
Uh, I've got a story for you. I remember in Spain, we just changed coaches, and the previous coach actually played me every game. This new
Yeah.
coach happens to come and he's brought three new players, and this new left back he's come in, and he's literally just walked in and brought straight in my position. I thought to myself, so this is what, for me, this is where the football's so opinionated. And,
Yeah.
like I always say, if when someone tells me someone's amazing, I'm like, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
whatever you want. I'm
Yeah.
not going to dispute with you. So
Yeah.
this manager's kind of put me in a sideline. And then one game, he tried to bring me on for the last 5 minutes. I've looked at him and I thought, get out of here. You must be joking. You must be joking. You think you can do this for me for 3 games? And there's no reason. He didn't give me a reason as to why he dropped me.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's just
Yeah.
opinion. So that for me is that, like, you can't feel begrudged because a coach didn't pick you for a certain
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Another person didn't like you. You know what? You might be like, scrambled eggs to one person, and then another person you're rotten eggs.
Yeah.
So it's that
Yeah.
analogy. One coach, it's opinion. It's very opinionated, and you've
Yeah.
got to be a tough character to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as you say, I think the parallel between me and you is really interesting, because you obviously, I'm a bit younger than you, and I haven't I've still I was playing non-league this year for a new team called Camden Islington, and but it's interesting because you've gone on to do great things, signed professional contracts. I played in the Camden District side for a year in year six, got into the Camden Islington side, had a mare, got released, first player. Um, I then went on to play well, but it's interesting because you didn't get into the district side, but look what you did, and then look what I did, kind of thing. So it's just, I'm just kind of highlighting it because it shows that if you don't get into something at a younger level, or a team or anything, as you've said before, look what you can do, and look what you've done. You've gone to
100%. Like, just
yeah,
I always say, keep working, keep
and
putting in the work.
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight that because obviously you went to a level that you should be proud of, and it's nice to just talk to someone from the area who's gone on to do that. And yeah, I just think it's important for people listening, like especially in regards to football, just keep pushing, because look, I got into the district side. I went off. I haven't played to nearly the standard that Marius has, but Marius didn't get in the team, and he's gone on to play professional football. So it's just about like resilience, especially in the
Yeah.
area. Um. So what was the team called in Gibraltar that you played
So I
for?
played for Glacius FC, and then within the country, I then transferred over to another club within the team. I did trial. I mean, when we got there, we trialed for several teams, and it was up to really us who we wanted to go to, and also who the clubs were really interested in. But
Yeah.
we were there in the sense as a trial. There was myself and three other young players, and we were going there not knowing what we were getting ourselves into. While
Yeah.
we were there, we also did trial out for other Spanish clubs as well. So we had the opportunity to go to Spanish clubs and train with them as well. So it
Yeah.
was a nice feeling, and like I said, for me, it was more or less it was that opportunity to just carry on playing and just
Hmm.
keep playing football and actually enjoy it and not
Yeah.
seeing it as a chore.
Yeah. I mean, the lifestyle in Gibraltar, I can imagine, was quite nice as well.
The sun was nice, but there were days when it was just a bit too much. It was just a bit too much. As lifestyle wise, we did, in our spare time, we did travel around the south of Spain and get around town. We go to
Yeah.
Malaga. We did, like I said, we also played a lot of Spanish clubs as well, so we did travel around to
Oh
play
wow.
Spanish
Yeah.
teams. So that was quite an interesting thing. I mean,
Yeah.
quite an interesting stage of career for
Yeah.
me. That was.
Yeah, really.
There's a difference between that and traveling down to Basingstoke or Fleet, or going down to
South Spain and Basingstoke.
yeah, or going down to Southend-on-Sea and playing a Tuesday night game for a Ryman South League. You go through these phases and you think, wow, I can't believe I did this, and then I'm doing this.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's really interesting. Sorry, I know in regards to understand your experience, I like comparing it to my experience, which is to a much less degree. So it sounds like I'm just talking about myself, but it's just a way of understanding your experience. So what in regards to the Gibraltar League and the style of play and obviously playing Spanish clubs, I went to a little tournament with my old team when I was younger called PPA, and it was called the Costa, I've forgotten the Costa del something Cup it was around Alicante, and I remember playing there, and we were playing, and I remember just going up against these Spanish sides and just being genuinely afraid on the pitch. Like, these are amateur sides, but the way how fast they were passing the ball was scary. I remember
what we call that, Jack? We call it run. We used to play ronda every morning.
Yeah.
Every morning we'd have a ronda, and we'd play it all day long. And that's part of the warm up, and then it's also part of the training game.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly passing the ball.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It was scary. I remember going to mark one person. He was in the penalty box the next second. So I just wanted. So you would come from playing in England and the MLS to going to play in Spain. So in regards to that, what was that like as a style change in football? That's where I was going with the analogy.
Okay, I'd say, do you know what? It's almost like going. So from England to going to the US, I could say I can hit about 100 miles an hour in both the games.
Yeah.
In Spain, I literally have to slam the brakes right. Yeah. So it was quite different in a sense that I had to slow my basically speed wasn't a thing, and I generally did base my game around my speed. I generally based my game around being able to move faster than the other person, being able to change direction. And I could tell you now, I probably had 3 skills to me, but they were very effective, and I knew I had to do them very well.
Yeah.
But when it came to the Spanish league and playing Spanish teams, you generally had to move. The ball had to move faster than you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ball does move. The ball moves faster than you do anyway. So what you're in a sense doing is just trying to shift the ball and move, and that's something which I could say even such a late stage of my career, I was still learning that, and that was great. It was something new for me, like playing rondas every morning before our training sessions began. Like, that definitely improved my ability to play. Or we'd go out to the beach. We'd have beach sessions where we'd play beach volleyball. We're just focusing on our touch. It was great. Right. So the playing style, in a sense, I'll say it's understanding that the ball moves faster than you did.
Yeah.
And for me, it's made me appreciate the style of being able to keep the ball on the floor a bit more, and not being a big guy myself. For me, I ideally try to keep the ball on the floor.
Yeah.
Because I like dribbling, I like to travel with the ball, which it didn't really work effectively in Spain because the players wanted you to pass the ball as soon as possible. Yeah. So, but over time, you adapt and you try and adapt your game to style that's being played around you. And I've learned how to use my speed in better ways. The same way, I mean, a great example of someone like Raheem Sterling, the way he's learned to use his speed and not just running headlessly. He's become such an intelligent player. I mean, I rave on about him every week, every time I watch him.
Yeah.
It's a player who's learned to he's a fast kid, and everyone knew that from a young age.
Yeah.
And it's those things, learning, basically, anyone that's less than that moment, like, be good at something, but learn to adapt that to another skill as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Which is what you need to do, especially when you go into a new team or if you go into a new league. You've got to be able to adapt that skill as quick as possible.
Yeah. So in a sense, you played left back, but and so in a weird, not in a weird way, but in a way, you had a similar transition to Sterling. So you adapted your pace to to accommodate the new league and
Yeah,
to improve yourself.
yeah, and also you kind of have to accommodate due to the weather.
Yeah,
You're playing in a game where you're at left back and the sun's beaming down on you all like for the next 45 minutes until you get into the shade where the stands are. So then you've got to then adapt and think, okay, I'm going to be playing 90 minutes here. I can't run flat out all day long.
yeah,
So you've got to then start thinking, okay, how can I improve this? How can I use my speed throughout the game? How can I make myself last for the 90 minutes?
yeah. So would you say from that your passing improved a lot more then?
Oh, 100%. Passing ability was the first thing you'd have to improve, because not only were we playing on, which you'd find in Spain as well, there's a lot of AstroTurf there.
Yeah,
So all the pitches you play on, the grass is not as it's not a muddy grass where you'd get in England.
yeah. So comparing the 2-footer.
So
Yeah,
so sometimes it could bobble and sometimes it could just hold on the grass for a little bit longer. So your
yeah,
passing would be just a little bit better than you just as better, just to have improve in general.
yeah. So in Gibraltar, you had a great time. What brought that to an end then?
A lot of it was missing home again,
Okay.
just missing home, and then also just kind of deciding whether I wanted to just call it an end now, because
Yeah,
at this point I am probably going into the back end of my 20s now. I'm about 28, 29, 28, 29. So I was just trying to make a bit more decisions as an adult and say, I need to make these final decisions. So I go back and play non-league football, or do I go back and just play the odd game here and there? Or do I go back and just have one more crack at it again in the National League, or try and play semi-pro somewhere? But it was more or less missing home. Yeah, I just missed
yeah,
home because I felt like I travelled so much for
yeah.
football.
No, I mean, Washington to Gibraltar is quite a distance. So so after that, you didn't go back into the game, did you?
No, I didn't go back into the game.
Yeah,
It was a decision which I had to make, and I said, I'm kind of pushing on now, and I need to kind of make a few more life-changing decisions for my long-term career. What do I want for myself? What do I want for myself really in the long term? So, yeah, I didn't get back into it. Funny thing is, I didn't get back into it, but I played a charity game for some mates, and I got an injury throughout the
okay.
back end of the career, which kind of halted me and made that decision a bit final for me.
And easier, I suppose.
And yeah, I suppose it's a lot easier, you'd say, but yeah, it wasn't a good injury. I'll tell you that. It was an ACL.
Yeah, so the same with what I've got right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, we spoke about that the other day, saying that you were going to help me out as well after my surgery. So
100% if you did it.
yeah, so when you look back on your career, would you say Gibraltar was your highlight, where you improved as a player? As you said that you enhanced your pace, your passing was the thing that improved the most.
Um, Yeah, I'd say just before I went off to Gibraltar, because I went for a period where I needed to make a decision of what was my next move, and I needed to be as fit as possible. So that next move I made, I needed to be as sharp as possible and impress whoever was going to take me on board on. So I'd say just before Gibraltar and going into that, I'd say I was at peak of my fitness and just peak of my abilities, I'd say.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose you're in like your. So how long are you there in total?
2 years.
2 years. So, and you said as you're coming out, you're 28, 29. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were your prime years, especially as a pacey fullback, who harnessed his passing.
100%. I did good. I did enough. I just did what I needed to do. That's what I thought. Back then, that's what I used to tell myself. Do what was needed.
Yeah, fair, fair.
Because you're at a point where you can't be reckless and you can't make poor decisions. Like, yeah, I'm not 18, I'm not 19. I can't just try and do a ridiculous long
Yeah,
range pass that could sabotage you know,
yeah,
basically a play. So you play a bit smarter at that age, I'd
yeah,
say.
yeah. Can imagine. I can imagine. So we've talked through. So I'm guessing the hardest thing in your career was the travel and missing home, and
Yes.
and coaches that replace you out the team for no reason. Uh, and then
It happens everywhere, I'll tell you that.
yeah. No, I could. Yeah, there's so many decisions I get confused in professional football myself. Um, and that, yeah, like Sancho not starting recently. Don't get that. Anyway, so favorite. So what would you say is your favorite memory looking back on like the career you had? Because you did play to a professional level at the end of the day, and you've come
Yeah.
from this area, and it's something to look back on and be proud of.
Do you know one thing? Just looking back, I'd say, I just had fun. I could play and I was actually having fun,
Hmm.
and that's a highlight. Just being able to just play football and enjoy it.
Hmm.
And when it got to a stage when I probably didn't enjoy it, that's when I had to start rethinking. I thinking, okay, what do I need to do to actually enjoy what I'm doing? Not
Hmm.
making it a chore. Like I said, there were times when I'd get up and we've got a morning training session. I was just like, oh, like
Yeah,
I'm not up for this.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
when then there were days when I had to get up myself and train myself in the mornings when I wanted to get my fitness back up. So whatever motivation that took, I just had to kind of tap into that bit of and then just get into training. But yeah, just having fun. I think that was being the highlight, just being able to have fun and enjoy football, because that's usually the reason why most people kind of
yeah.
are just not having fun anymore.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen that with quite a few people because yeah, for looking at other people who've made it and things like that, I feel like it's so easy to take things personal and um especially I'm not saying you should, but for certain players, it's so easy to take things personal. It's so easy to feel dismissed, like your hard work's going unnoticed. An
Yeah,
example of that is your story at in Gibraltar about the new left back.
yeah,
Um, there's so many ways it can become to feel like a job, as you said earlier as well. Um, and yeah, I think that is it almost sounds a bit cheesy, but it is true. It is true because you're just there to express yourself, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
It,
So
you
look,
forget it's a form of theatre as well. It's a form of art.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I remember like someone who didn't know football very well once tell me he found it amazing when a footballer switched the ball to the other side of the field, and I was just like, yeah, actually, you break it down and think of it very simply. It's
Yeah.
it's it is a bit like that. So looking back on your career, I'd be really interested to know who would you. So firstly, who's the best player from around Gospel Oak and Camden that you feel like was in the area and that you played with? And then secondly, who's the best player out of all the places you've been to that you've played with, would you say?
Oh, in Camden. God. But you have to remember, Jack, I've travelled, like I've gone down to South London. I've played to what North. I've played a lot against a lot of like really talented players.
Yeah.
Do
But
you know
like,
what? Going back, actually, I take it back. There's one boy I went to school with, and he's about my stature as well. We're about the same height, and he didn't get into Chelsea because of his height. Umet Zidane. His name was Zidane as well.
Zidane.
And yeah, Umet was absolutely talented,
Yeah.
amazing, absolutely amazing. He didn't make it knee injury from a young age. He's one who I bumped into a few times like, a few years back, and we spoke about football. And he's like, "Oh, you're still playing football, Marius?" He's like, "I wish I could still be playing. I wish I could just be fit."
Yeah.
And he was a kid who I think the system really let him down a bit. Like myself, I'd say is
Yeah.
because of our height.
Yeah.
We didn't get given enough opportunities, or we didn't get given that opportunity to play against the bigger guys
Yeah. Yeah.
because we're too small. And
Yeah.
he is, I'd say, yeah. If anyone ever asks, it's Umit. He went to Acton.
Okay.
Very good footballer.
And
Yeah.
then
As
in your career.
in my career, do you know what? I've got a few, and but there's one player I'd mention. This is when I went to DC. It's called Andy Najar. He's Honduras.
I feel like
He's currently, you do know him. He's currently playing for Anderlecht. He's being managed by company.
yeah, I feel like I've heard that name. I wouldn't say I know him,
Yeah.
but I've heard the
He,
name.
he was supposed to be the next big thing coming out of the MLS, and he is
Yeah.
amazing. And that he reminded me of a young Ronaldo, but a bit more harnessed.
Okay.
Very dynamic. I mean, he's probably, yeah. I'd say
Very
he's
good.
he's the one. Yeah, he is the one. And
So
another player I've played against was I don't know if you probably might know him as an Arsenal fan, Ryan Smith. Always say bring up Smithy's name. Smithy is hands down like most talented Arsenal player I've seen. People
Ryan
mention
Smith.
Jermaine Pennant. People mention Jermaine Pennant, but I think Ryan Smith was better than him, but he didn't get an opportunity at Arsenal.
Mm.
But that's because Pennant, I'd say, had the price tag on him.
Ah, okay. It's interesting you say that because obviously I told you earlier about Trey Coyle who used to go to Gospel Oak Primary School. So um let's hope someone that that we know from the area gets a chance. And apparently they're saying in the papers that he will. Arteta really likes him. So yeah, let's hope. And so what's his name again? Ryan Smith.
Yes, Ryan Smith. But
Okay.
I'll be looking forward to seeing Troy this season. If he gets into the team, it'll be nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, like it's hopefully you can talk to him one time, but I'm sure he's very busy right now trying to break into the first team. That's not, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do.
Not at all to break into any first team.
Yeah,
You've got to remember,
exactly.
it's not just breaking to the first team. You've got to break into the first 11 because
Yeah,
only 11 people are allowed on the pitch.
and there's only a few in your position, so
There you go.
I think the good thing about Trey though is I've been seeing some highlights. He can play all over the front three, so hopefully through that he'd get a chance. But yeah, so Ryan Smith, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, there's so many Arsenal players like that. There was a boy called Lapoli, an Italian striker for Arsenal quite a few years back. Him and Bentner were amazing apparently back in the day for the youth team.
I got him instead
Yeah,
of him. Shame,
yeah,
isn't it? But I'm telling you, Ryan Smith is one, and he's one that I'd say at the youth stage a lot of people talked about. The one that at a youth level a lot of people talked about, but actually I didn't get a chance to play, was James Milner, and he's still playing now. James Milner is an absolute legend. If
yeah.
anyone says anything about James Milner at a youth level, a lot of people raved on about him. I've heard his name. I just never got to play against him. But yeah, but Ryan Smith is hands down like probably one of the best youth players I've seen come out of
Okay.
Arsenal.
Where did he play?
He was a left winger. Okay.
Okay. So you
Yeah,
would have
very
been
good.
behind him at left back.
Oh, I wish, mate.
We just to finish up as well. I've got about two more questions.
Yeah,
We touch on your brother and your family being very football minded. Your brothers had a good football career as well, didn't they? And they're from the
yeah.
area as
So
well.
yeah, my brother's. I think my brother's actually had more luck playing abroad as well, which sometimes it makes me think, well, I should. This is why I think I was more attracted to going abroad and trying to. I wasn't afraid of being able to go abroad. My brother was been to Holland, played football out there, played football in France. So for us, I mean, playing football was always a thing, and
Yeah,
it kept us. We weren't always around each other because we were so busy, like just either training or playing football. It was the thing
yeah,
for us. Even my little brother even played for the district team, but he didn't go again. He played for district level, but
yeah,
he never pushed on from it. It was
yeah,
really he wasn't as driven as much as about football, I'd say. But
yeah,
my oldest brother was the one. I mean, I looked up to because he went abroad, and for me, it was like, okay, you're not afraid of going abroad. Then you shouldn't
yeah.
be afraid of going abroad because you
He was playing for Ajax, was he? Am I
yeah,
mistaken?
he did go out there and played out with them as well.
Yeah,
Played there for a
that's
little while and then moved to another Dutch team out there. So for me, I think it's something which I try to tell a lot of English players is don't be afraid of going abroad.
yeah,
And
no,
it's only just now that's really that I've seen Sancho is absolutely flying. He's
yeah,
done
he's amazing. Yeah,
not just Sancho. I think there's a few others who are in a couple of countries.
there
There's an
was a
Arsenal player that's actually in Sweden. A good friend of mine. God, I mean, I played with him. Ellis boy. He went to William Ellis. Oh God, I've got his name.
uh,
Sam Oji. Yeah,
oh
Sam. Sam. Yeah, he's played for Arsenal. He's gone out. He's
oh
in Sweden.
oh wow. Where who's he playing for?
I can't remember the
Is
name.
he from the area? So he's from the area as well. Just
Sam he's an Islington boy. I'd say he's an Islington.
oh, okay.
But he went to William Ellis.
Yeah, so we'll claim
Ellis boy. I call him as a local boy still.
we'll claim him still. If you want William Ellis, we'll claim him. Um, yeah. So it's like you've just reeled off a bunch of names that are from like local schools in the area, and yourself obviously. Just to finish up, I just would there. So you're a guy that moves to the area at a young age, played football around here, Obviously, you made something of yourself along with your brother in the game, made an impact. Would there be, from your experience and to any kid from Camden or Gospel Oak, or even any kid in London, or wanting to make it into the game, would there be any advice you'd give them?
Do you know what I'd say? Don't be afraid the of the rejection, I'd say, and don't take it to heart, because you're in a sport that's very, very, very opinionated. And I think you've heard me say it a few times.
Yeah,
It's very opinionated. You can be sliced bread to one person, and you can be absolute dog food to someone else.
yeah,
So
yeah,
don't take it to heart. As long as I always say, you keep putting in the hard work, keep being good at what you're good. I mean, like what you know you can do, and another that you might be that slice of bread to that next manager that sees you.
yeah,
So that's my advice. And you know what? And also, probably the best thing is just enjoy it.
yeah,
Enjoy it. If you, like once you enjoy it, take the enjoyment out of anything. It's no longer becomes a chore.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No,
so
it is
enjoy it.
really true. I think it's easy to forget that as well, because I remember going to Malden and playing football there, and or even on a Sunday before the game, I remember just getting way too wrapped up on like what scout was coming that day, and oh, I've got to play amazing this day. And for me, as I've said before, even if I was good enough, I don't think I'd have had the mentality to do it, to make it. And I remember, because you came to watch me when I was younger for PPA,
Yeah,
and
I did it.
yeah, and there was a few boys there on trials with different clubs at different times, and I just remember for every game, it's probably not every player, but I know for me, I was always thinking, oh God, I've got to play this game, because this scout I know is here, this scout, and I was more encapsulated with impressing than actually just
Yeah,
playing natural.
it's because you're starting trying to make it a chore. It's not a
Yeah,
chore.
yeah. It's like
Yeah,
I
you
want to
do your
impress
chores
you.
as cleaning, yeah, and you can do your homework as a chore. You can things which are done a bit static, but what I mean, if you enjoy it, you'll expect people watching will enjoy. Actually, it will look like entertainment.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you're enjoying it, it looks like you're entertaining people. It looks like it's a bit theatrical in a sense. But
yeah,
when you try and do the long range pass, you make things look a bit robotic. It
yeah,
doesn't. That people watching it think, okay, he's trying to do too much. They're not keen in that.
yeah,
They
yeah.
start to look
It has
away
to
when
come
they have another
naturally.
thought. Yeah, it has
Yeah,
to come naturally.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
mentally, you're not even there in the game as well. So
yeah,
there's loads of factors that can happen in a game.
yeah. And I think like that's why trial games are so hard as well, because you're just looking to impress, and it's I think trials, people forget that, not trials when you're training with a squad, but because it's easier to play natural. But when you've got a trial match, I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in, I need to impress, let's try this, let's try that. The hardest thing to do at a trial is not playing that 40-yard ball. It's
Yeah,
relaxing
do
and
the, do
playing
the
your own
simple
game.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, that's what I've noticed as well, and especially the players that have gone to make it. It's you always notice they've got flair, and they, they don't show it, and then bang, it comes naturally, and that's more impressive than trying to do it about 50 times and failing to get it that one time right. If that
Yes,
makes any
that's it.
sense.
That is it. No, it makes a lot of sense. That is exactly it. You hit it down the head, because you can see the person who's trying to do the thing about a million times, and you can see the person who's just playing it so simple.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
person stands out like a sore thumb because they're just keeping it so simple.
yeah,
As
100%.
as in that's what they do normally.
Yeah, 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 100%, 100%. So it, yeah. So in regards to the Gospel Oak Football Club, so we've just started. We're going to 11 aside. We've got a good 20-man squad now, I'd say, next season. We even had a podcast the other night where one of the guys that comes on the podcast, Monzi, was saying, I'm the best penalty taker in the club. We were trying to outdo each other. We got a few decent players in our squad. One that springs to mind straight away is Shadrach, who's ended up top goal scorer at Hackney Wick this season at 20, which is very impressive. We've got a good squad, but the question is, will we see DC United's finest. Put on that green and gold shirt next year
Oh
for a
God,
few
I'm
games.
sorry. If you can get me fit, if you can get me fit, then yeah.
You have to get me
If you
fit.
can
I
get
can't
me
get you
fit.
fit. You're on a professional routine.
Oh no, I'm too busy on my machine nowadays. I'm programming, so yeah, you have to get me off my machine to
We'll
get me
try.
playing some football.
It's going to be one of them Sunday morning ones. Oh, Marius, short of one man. We need a left back.
Of all things, we need a left back. No one ever needs a left back. No one ever needs a left back.
Otherwise, we're just going to have to call your old teammates in Gibraltar. Get a last minute flight, Ryanair. Get out, and then take the C11 straight to Gospel, even though that doesn't stop at the airport.
Oh God, the journeys, Jack, I've done. You won't believe it.
Well, Basingstoke seems like a bit of a mazza.
Oh, it's a joke, man. Like I said, I used to get back in at 11 p.m. Just imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
I've never experienced it like that. I know a few boys still doing it now, so my hat goes to them.
You just do it.
Yeah, just do it, man. Just keep going. Well, actually, just one more question before we start. So I was just thinking this the other day. For a boy who's kind of in that, so a lot of the ages around football, when I feel like when people get to about 20 to 23, where they're still young, but they're not quite considered youngsters still. Like a manager isn't gonna pick this guy up because he's like seen as a really youngster that we can develop, but he's not old at the same time. Would you have any advice for players that haven't have played to a decent level, or even if they haven't, who still want to make it in a game? Would you say tell them to keep going and
Yeah, I
try?
would 100% say get yourself into a semi-pro team and get yourself playing regular football. As soon as you get that regularity, what you find is it sparks back that enjoyment again, and then the hunger and the drive just spikes up. Managers will see that straight away, and you can be playing that non-league football for ages, throughout the ages if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's what it is not quitting.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not
Yeah.
quitting or stopping the routine. As soon as you
Yeah.
come out the routine of playing football Monday to Saturday,
Yeah.
you fall off. It's the reality of it. You've got to be doing it from Monday to Saturday. And Saturday being your game day, Sunday your rest day, your Monday throughout the week is training, or it could be a game on a Tuesday night, on a windy, cold night in Fleet.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say get yourself in a semi-pro team and get the regular football going, because that will spark some enjoyment back in again. And just the whole lads and the banter,
Yeah, it's
everyone
true.
loves it. That's always a bit of fun. So it's nice to have that, especially as young men nowadays. You need that company.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's enough clubs around, especially in the thing I find weird is if you were to play football in London, maybe a lot of people relate to this. If you want to play for a non-league club, and it's something the new team, Camden Islington, who I play for, was playing before I'd done my ACL. If you want to play to a high level of football, a lot of inner city London kids actually end up going towards the suburbs of London, because that's where a lot of teams are. Well, and you can relate after your long journeys. So it'd be good maybe in years to come by. There's a real opportunity for inner city London teams to launch a non-league campaign, and I mean you do see it now with Camden Islington, Hackney Wick. I'm sure there's others that I haven't touched on, but yeah, I think that's a really interesting development that could happen soon as well.
Yeah, I think it should happen. Why shouldn't there be a inner London team? Because that's where the hub is. There's a density of people in the city, so why not?
Yeah, I've always found it quite bizarre. I suppose facilities there's not as much green spaces in inner city.
That's what it is. It's stadium and inner city space, and Hackney is probably the nearest biggest patch of grass you can find, really.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Gospel Oak can play.
Play on Hampstead Heath, then
Yeah.
I think
Well, the pitches are there, but
I'll be out every Saturday and Sunday watching those games if that's the case.
turn the back of the Lido into a stand, and then
Yeah.
hopefully do some development on the grass. Obviously keep it natural, but
It'll be a great
less hilly. Because the Hampstead Heath Gospel Oak entrance is like that. It's like
you'll be climbing up those hills.
yeah. It's good for your
Turn the
fitness.
40-yard pass up there.
Yeah. I remember playing for William Ellis on them pitches, and if you switch the ball, if you're on one side, you have to put more on it. If you're on the other side, you have to put less on it. So it improves your passing.
Never had to play on those pitches. But glad I didn't have to.
Yeah. Abdi and Monzi, who are on the podcast, who went Haverstock, they if you want to trigger them, just tell them William Ellis away on Hampstead Heath.
Oh God!
Not happy.
Yeah, horrible place. I can't believe that was a pitch.
Well, hopefully in time, it gets improved, because there's a real opportunity for. I think
it'd be great to have a local Camden team if that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Camden Islington, as I say, shout out to Nick Wigmore and everyone associated with that team. They're doing a great job. They're doing a really, really great job. They came third in their first season, I think. I could be wrong, but they did really well towards the end of the season. They didn't finish there because it got null and void, but in spirit, and I think next season they'll go on to do really well. So there's definitely a growth. I know Gospel Oak's just a Sunday team for next year, but we could even get there with time. And yes, I think it's a nice time, because as you say, just keep playing, and hopefully in time there'll be more in the City London teams where you won't have to make that trip to Basingstoke.
We play football in my 50s, yeah. Sorry, Jack, you ain't getting me playing anymore at 50.
I'll give you a ticket to Basingstoke, and then I'll give you a pair of football boots.
Oh God!
No ticket for left back. Anyway, it was great to speak to you, Marius.
No worries, Jack. Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, no, it's just good for people to hear that, like, there's not just, obviously Trey Cole's the focus of attention right now, and he's doing amazing things for the area in regards to like football in terms of football, but it's great to hear like other people's experiences who are from the area and who made it to a good level, and hopefully kids and young adults and anyone listening to this can feel motivated to still play, because you're testament to just keep on going and keep on going for it, and you can do something.
Definitely. I mean, for me, it's more or less like it's something. If you enjoy it, why stop?
Yeah.
You enjoy it, keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, there's just so many talented footballers from around here. Really hope if one of them was to listen to this and say, "Oh fuck it, look at all these people that have made it, and like to a good level, crap, like that means the people I'm playing with must be to a good standard. It must mean that I might be good enough, and if you work hard enough, you will be good enough."
I think the motivation at the moment is some of the boys who've come down from South. Like, I've played with a lot of South London boys.
Yeah.
Some of them are good mates of mine. And, great inspiration for them at the moment. The boys like Zaha, Sancho, Tammy, all that. There's a ton of them. And they've got all that motivation and inspiration around there. For me, I feel like up in Camden or up in North, there isn't that many.
Yeah.
Maybe I suppose the exposure isn't there for them.
Yeah.
But the boys like Tammy and Zaha, kudos to them. They're doing it for the boys in South London.
100. and that's also my motivation to highlight the Trey Coyles, Marlon Harewoods, Joe Coles, yourself, who made it to a good level too, and just I'm sure there's many more that I'm not even thinking of right now. I mean, your brother as well, playing at Ajax, coming from North.
To be honest with you, I think there's still a couple of players in this. I mean, in North, it's just that they're probably not fond of playing non-league football, playing, Ryman League football. But to not respect to anyone that's playing any form of football, I will
Yeah,
say, you know, what is pro? Like I said to you at the beginning, of the podcast, what is pro?
Yeah, what is pro? Yeah, I think it's important for people to realise how much talent comes out of Camden, as a motivating factor, as you say. A lot of people in the South. I mean, I could Righty as well. That's a
Yeah,
massive motivator for Rock. Back in the 90s as well, Rocky Rocastle. He grew up in the same state as Ian Wright, I think.
definitely.
Throwing that way back. There's so many, too many. I think Joe Gomez is from South as well.
He
He's
is,
at
he is. He's
Charlton.
tough boy
Yeah,
as well, yeah.
yeah. So many from South, but I think we also need to, for people from North as well, need to see actually. Oh no, there's quite a few good players coming from here, so why can't I as well? And it's not like they're in short supply; they're just in short supply compared to South, and we need to change that.
I suppose what, like you said, is just need. I mean, podcasters like yours to highlight these
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
So, I mean, if someone is playing National League or someone's playing League One, that person should be highlighted
yeah,
because they've made it to that stage. You've got to make sure and show them out to the other younger kids and say, yeah, you can reach that level or can be on.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah. So I suppose if any footballer from Camden um or in North as well wants to come on, talk about their career, I think it's important for people to highlight footballers from North as well, because I mean I'm not going to deny South London's just a football breeding zone. Like, it's just incredible how many footballers come from there, but at the same time I feel like because of that, people pay less attention to footballers who come from the rest of London. And I think in North you've got a lot of good footballers that don't get the same attention. So I think it's important to highlight that, and important for people to know actually, oh crap, a lot of people are coming from North, is coming through from North. So why
Don't
can't
worry,
I?
Raheem's
Yes, Sterling,
representing for us.
Northwest,
Raheem's representing
Raheem.
for us.
Yeah, and it's not to divide, as well. It's
Not to the,
the
oh,
major
there's always a slight little division, isn't there?
North versus South All Stars, like in the NBA, like. But as I say, it's great that so many players come from London and as a whole. But at the same time, I don't think enough people from North get notoriety as well. Kalen Hines, who I went to school with, he's from North as well. Yeah, there's just there's so many. So
You
I
can
think
name them
it's
all day.
yeah, name them all day. But I feel like it's not brought up the same way it is in South. So I think it's important to talk about it as well.
Well, keep up the good work, and hopefully we can get a couple more on the podcast.
Yeah, 100. Maybe you can be my co-host.
Oh no, I'm a busy man. I'm a busy man. I'll be busy trying to get myself fit. That's what I'm doing.
Nah, we'll have Luke, Abdi, and Monzi as well still on, so it'd be good to. Obviously, they weren't around today. I'm sure they would want to ask many questions to you as well. But yeah, it would be great from anyone from North. Oh, actually, as well, one more. Janelle Bennett is from around North. First player to score at the new White Hart Lane. So
Yeah.
let's finish it on that. So it's just
Up this
important.
Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, as I say, just important to highlight that people, footballers are coming out of Camden as well, and it's important to pay attention, because it motivates a lot more kids from North to wanna keep on going and keep on playing. As I don't think enough players from North get the same attention. Anyway, Marius, it's great speaking to you, mate.
Oh, thank you very much for this. That's great.
Yeah, I'll probably see you soon.
No worries. See you soon, Jack.
Take it easy.